Hey there and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a different kind of video for you guys. I'm not sure if something like this exists. I'm sure it does, but basically I just really wanted to do something that I think I'm gonna call the 3 that smell like me, to talk about fragrances that I just feel really remind me of myself. And I've narrowed it down to 3, and I will decide to maybe do updates to this, not that often, but if and only if something changes or there's an update to the top 3. But I just thought this was an interesting concept. There are fragrances that I absolutely adore that don't fall into this category, so you may or may not be surprised with the 3 I've picked. But basically the point of this video is to choose fragrances that remind you of yourself, that just have a quality about them that feels very personal to you, that just feels like it matches with your body chemistry, and overall the composition of the fragrance is something that smells like you and the kind of image you want to convey, or just the kind of person that you are. Because for a lot of us, at least I know personally, there are so many fragrances that I own that I absolutely adore, but if I had to pick out, and that I also think smell great on me and that project well and everything, but that if I had to pick out, I wouldn't say immediately are fragrances that are quintessentially me or that just really match who I am 100%. One that just comes off the top of my head is, I'm sure for those of you who've been watching my channel, Sunshine by Amouage. I have it right here. That is a fragrance that I absolutely adore. I cannot really see myself ever being without it, and whenever I do go through it, I would repurchase. But it isn't one that, you know, off the top of my head, I feel completely matches who I am and my vibe. It's a sweet tobacco scent. I think it's stunning. But personally, there are definitely other fragrances that I feel like are absolutely me. So let's get into it. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe, and let's check out my 3 that smell like me. So the first one I'm actually going to talk about is the one I've had the longest, the one that I've had, you know, for longer than a year, that I've played with the most, and that I feel really was one of the first fragrances that I felt this way about. I think before this fragrance, the first one that I truly ever felt this way about was Kenzo, Flower by Kenzo, but I haven't had a bottle of that in a long time, and I went through a lot of those and just felt like that was really, really me. It was the first super powdery fragrance that I owned as an adult, and that I wore that even when I was maybe a teenager. But anyways, after that, I never really found another fragrance that moved me in the same way until Bal d'Afrique. And Bal d'Afrique is one that I smelled in store, that I had a sample of, and I just could not. It was love at first sniff. Something clicked in me when I smelled this, you guys. And I know a lot of people love this fragrance, and some people feel that it's too simple. There's a lot of differing opinions, but I think for the most part, people really do like this, and I've gone through a lot of this. Byredo fragrances are not cheap, so I'm not looking forward to the day where I have to repurchase this, because this is another fragrance I can't really imagine not being without. It just smells like me. And for these 3, I am gonna actually read you guys the notes in case it helps. So Bal d'Afrique has bergamot, lemon, marigold, jasmine, cyclamen, neroli, violet, black amber, musk, vetiver, and Moroccan cedarwood. And this is a fragrance more than many others where I feel like the sum is greater than the sum of its parts. So the fragrance is greater than the sum of its parts. That's what I meant. And this is so the case. I mean, there's citrusy scents in here, there's floral scents in here, there's amber and cedarwood, but the entire fragrance as a whole, I feel like, is just so stunning, and none of those notes or the accords within them could ever come up with being as great as this is. This is stunning, and you'll see with the 3 fragrances, personally I wasn't surprised, but there's going to be a lot of notes that overlap. There's a lot of violet, there's a lot of iris and amber and neroli. The notes that I like definitely showcase within all three fragrances, but this is one fragrance that manages to be everything at the same time. You know, it's got that sensual amber, it's got a little bit of woods, it's definitely got a citrusy vibe to it, but it's not too citrusy. It's got a beautiful neroli, such a lovely violet, and it's musky, and it's not too powdery, it's not too anything. I think it's completely unisex, and I think it is a unisex fragrance, and it just smells clean at the same time, without being laundry-like, without being like the line clean. It's stunning, and I truly feel like this, after Flower by Kenzo, and I never really repurchased that after that, you know, I don't know, 5-year phase that I went through it. But this just completely then took its place in my mind of being a me fragrance. And I don't think I could ever really make a video where I chose one fragrance if I had to get rid of everything. But if I did, this would undeniably be a huge contender because of how comfortable I feel when I wear this. It makes me feel confident and like me and sexy and happy. It just encapsulates really everything I want in a fragrance. And it also shocked me because when I first smelled it, it was that feeling that doesn't happen very often, where I feel as though I'd been searching for this type of scent and then I finally found it. That's how I felt with Flower by Kenzo years and years ago. And there is actually a fragrance by Ex Nihilo which I felt that way, and now I can't quite find it again, but whenever I do find it, I would like to purchase that because I feel like that has a quality to it that could make it maybe possibly part of these three. So Bal d'Afrique is a huge recommendation from me. Get a sample. It is definitely expensive and it might not be for everyone, but I think it really does have this unique ability to be both mass pleasing and yet still unique. So that is my first pick, Bal d'Afrique. Then I'm gonna go in order of how long I've had them, because the other two I haven't had them for that long, so it's even surprising to me how quickly they have kind of matched to being scents that smell like me. So the second one is True Lust, and again, if you've been watching my channel, you won't be surprised because very quickly I started to talk about in a couple of my videos how this had a quality to it that was very much going to take place of my top three, or the top three scents that smell like me. So True Lust has a lot of notes to it. It lists rum, ginger, rose, violet, coconut, osmanthus, lily of the valley, jasmine, ylang ylang, tangerine, rice powder, ambergris, leather, sandalwood, and animal notes. And like I've mentioned before, animalic fragrances or animal notes are not the types of notes that I do well with usually, and yet in this, I think the quality they bring to this fragrance was absolutely needed. The rice powder in this is stunning. Really everything, even the leather in this, you might not immediately pick it up because I feel as though it's softened by the violet, it's softened by the rice powder, but the leather in this is even more stunning than I couldn't have imagined. And what I find really nice about this, and I did pick this as my Gemini pick for the Zodiac video I did, I just feel like every time you wear this, because it has so many notes, but they're blended in such a beautiful way and an interesting way, which is very much unique to Etat Libre d'Orange. You end up picking up different things at different times. It's powdery, it's animalic, it's leathery. It's so incredibly seductive. This is a fragrance that very quickly, upon the first dry down, I knew there was something special about it. I knew that there was nothing in my collection, or indeed that I'd ever smelled that came close to this. I knew it was unique, and I knew it was very much up my alley. And since I've had it, I have used it quite a bit actually, since I've only had it for about a month and a half. Maybe 2 max, and I cannot imagine ever being without this. I'm mad that I got the 30 ml because I feel as though, not mad, but I feel like as soon as I go through this, maybe before I even go through this, I will need to pick up another bottle, and I'm getting the larger bottle. It's just stunning. I love, love, love this fragrance. I mean, I think it's no big shocker that all three fragrances, including the third I'll mention, are powdery. They are powdery in different ways though, and I feel as though if you absolutely hate any form of powder or musk or florals that evoke a powdery scent like violet or iris or osmanthus, then these fragrances aren't for you, and you're welcome to choose fragrances that work better with your skin chemistry or your personality. But powdery fragrances really do come alive on my skin, and this is such a unique way to do powder, and I just can't say enough good things about it. I really do feel like if I were to ever do a top 3, these again, or maybe a top, this would have to be in that top as well. These are the top 3 that make me feel like me, but even more than that, this is just such an incredible fragrance, and yeah, absolutely love it. So that's True Lust by Etat d'Orange. And the third one that reminds me of me is actually even surprising to myself. I've only recently picked it up, but the reason I had to include it as part of my 3 is because it reminds me of another fragrance that I've loved for many, many years, and it just is completely a match for what I love in a fragrance and what I want in a fragrance that is very much quote unquote me. So the third one is Athalia by Parfums de Marly, and I mentioned in my first impressions that it does remind me of Infusion d'Iris by Prada. It's a fragrance that, again, I cannot stress enough, I don't know why I don't own. I don't know why I don't own all of them, because they are just complete loves of mine that I've loved for so many years, and for whatever reason I've never picked them up, but I definitely would, and I feel like this was supposed to take the spot of that in my mind, but now even more I can't stop thinking about hopefully one day owning all of them. Anywho, so this Athalia has orange blossom, iris, floral amber, white musk, incense, rose, vanilla, and vetiver. And again, personally, my top 3 that smell like me have a lot of the same notes kind of overlapping across them, and this indeed is another flowery fragrance. I will say, because it might help you guys, even though I don't personally feel this way, a lot of reviewers have described this as being kind of a fragrance they can imagine like a very wealthy, rich woman smelling like. And while I don't get that vibe, I love the way it smells, but I don't get that description, doesn't personally help me. It helps a lot of other people, so I thought I'd mention it. To me, it is a very, very stunning iris, an iris that again is very similar to Prada's iris, but it has an incense quality to it that's soft, and yet what I suspect kind of keeping it stronger with some better lasting power. Thank goodness, so much better than Delina. This actually lasts on me, and while, you know, the more I have it on, the projection and the sillage gets softer, it lasts a good amount of time, and I am so pleased. And the vanilla in this isn't that strong. It's just bringing a touch of sweetness to it personally, and it does have a really nice, beautiful orange blossom to it. But really what you're getting is that iris and soft incense, and definitely musky. If you don't like musky fragrances, you will not like this. And I just love it. I very quickly knew that I was going to love it. And as I've been, you know, throughout the past days and weeks trying out the many new fragrances that I've hauled and done first impressions to try to prepare for my second impressions videos, every time one of them wears off or is wearing off, in between trying out all the other fragrances, I just feel like I always come back to this one because it just reminds me of me. It makes me happy. It makes me feel all of the emotions. And I feel like when you find a fragrance that reminds you of you, it makes you feel everything at once. Whereas a fragrance that you love could make you feel happy, or that, you know, you want to be on vacation, or that it's like a warm, cuddly scent. And yet when you find one that's completely you, it makes me feel everything. And in my opinion, I would wear this year round, every single day, even though it might not have been, you know, created as such. And I love it. I absolutely love this. I feel, again, like this is a fragrance I wouldn't want to be without. But this in particular also just makes me more and more interested in owning so many more iris fragrances, because I have such a love for violet and iris and orris root, and just notes that kind of convey or create that powderiness. So totally love, absolutely recommend. I will actually put this one on since I've put all the other ones on as well. And yeah, that is my last pick. So for those of you who make videos, if you'd like to do a video like this, do give me a shout out. I'd love to see your picks of what reminds you of you. And if you don't make videos, you can leave me your picks in the comments below. I love to talk to you guys, and I think this is an interesting way to see what kind of personality or vibe we like to kind of convey with our favorite scents that smell like us to us. So as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.